7 times. He's a beginner for sure. This evening, he's beginning his work in Pathways with the first project on the presentation mastery path, the icebreaker. You might think it would be tricky to come up with new ways to do the icebreaker after doing 7 of them. Lloyd says you'd be right about that. Lloyd Smith, and yet another icebreaker, the persistence of memory. Thank you, Lloyd.
In the spring of 1909, a French writer named Marcel Proust was strolling along a Paris street when he decided to stop at a sidewalk cafe for a snack. He ordered a cup of tea and a madeleine. Madeleine's kind of a dense, small cookie that's actually reminiscent of a coconut macaroon. You know what those are. When the order came, he dipped his macaroon or his madeleine into the cup of tea and took a bite. And he explained later that he was suddenly overwhelmed by what he thought was a life-changing experience with that cookie. He got up, walked home, and started writing a book. He worked on that book from 1909 until 1922 when he became fatally ill. He eventually wrote 7 novels in a series that all are called The Remembrance of Things Past. Together, it's considered one of the masterpieces of 20th century literature, a judgment I do not share. But the point is that he worked on that and worked on it. He wrote 4,300 pages. The book is actually, or the story of 4,300 pages is a densely interconnected series of events, sensory events, smells, sounds, tastes, like that, which triggered memories in him. And then he explores the memories. These things loop back recursively. Extremely complicated story that actually goes nowhere. It happens all inside of his head. What the book is about, though, and that's the key to this, is memory. He called it the persistence of memory. And what he meant by that is that most of us tend to think we have memories, and he thought we were our memories, if you see the difference there. Now that's an interesting thought. The first story in the book, or the first scene in the book, the first century experience, deals with that cookie, that madeleine that he ate. And here's what he had to say about it. No sooner had the warm liquid, meaning the tea, mixed with the crumbs touched my palate than a shudder ran through me, and I stopped, intent upon the extraordinary thing that was happening to me. An exquisite pleasure had invaded my senses, something isolated, detached, with no suggestion of its origin. And at once the vicissitudes of life had become indifferent to me, its disasters innocuous, its brevity illusory. This new sensation having had on me the effect which love has of filling me with a precious essence, or rather this essence was not in me, it was me. Whence did it come? What did it mean? How could I seize and apprehend it? And suddenly the memory revealed itself. The taste was that of the little piece of madeleine which on Sunday mornings at Combray, when I went to say good morning to her in her bedroom, my Aunt Leonie used to give me, dipping it first in her own cup of tea. The sight of that little madeleine had recalled nothing to my mind before I tasted it, and afterwards, everything. Boy, it makes you want to read the other 4,299 pages. I've been thinking about that on and off for a while, and I have a somewhat different view of that. I'm 71 years old, so I'm old enough to have had a lot of memories. I also have kind of a trick memory. I can remember most of what's happened in my life, most of what I've read, most of what I've heard and seen, and I can make the connections between them. That's actually the answer to the question a lot of people have asked, how do you get your speech ideas? I just remember them and then put things together, and it's relatively easy for me. My dad, however, had an extraordinary memory. He could remember tiny details from decades earlier. There were family gatherings when he was asked, that somebody would show him a picture taken, say, in 1920 and ask him who the people were, and he would tell them, and he would know it too. But every now and then, somebody would say something like my nitwit cousin Larry at one family gathering. Yeah, you're laughing because you don't know him. But anyway, cousin Larry once told my dad, boy, you were lucky to live in those good old days when things were just great. And my dad fixed Larry with this look like he'd give a bug. And he said, oh yeah, I loved living back then in the winter when you had thaw out the pitcher of water so you could wash your hands when it's 20 below inside the house. And I loved hearing my neighbor talk about trying to start his Model T with the crank and having it backfire and break his wrist, left him crippled the rest of his life. And I really loved watching my 3-year-old sister die of diphtheria because penicillin hadn't been invented yet. And he got louder and louder and louder until Cousin Larry scurried away. The point is, like my dad, and this is where this relates to the icebreaker idea, I don't live in the past. I have a past, I remember most of it, but I prefer to live in the future. I'm much more interested in what's going to happen tomorrow than in anything that's ever happened to me in the past. Now, if I were to meet Marcel Proust, well, there's a thought. But anyway, if I were to meet him, I would tell him, get over it. It's a cookie.
A cookie to one is an island to another.